Hello everyone, welcome back to our festive recipe series. Today I'm going to share with you my favorite recipe, cheesy herb biscuits. These are buttery, melt in mouth and loaded with herbs. A perfect bite-sized treat for your snacking platters, festive parties or cheese boards, or for that matter a cup of tea or coffee. Now, as a pastry chef, I have made tons of biscuits and cookies, but these are my personal favorite because they combine the bold flavor of cheese, aromatic herbs and a dash of lemon. Just creates that beautiful balance of flavor. I'll be dropping some pro tips so that you get that crispy, fluffy biscuits every time you make, so stick around. Alright, before we dive into the steps, let's have a quick look at the ingredients you will need for these biscuits. So, we need some butter, cheese, flour, rice flour, baking powder, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and some mixed herbs, along with some lemon juice and finely chopped coriander leaves. Once you have gathered everything, we are ready to start baking. Let's start by preparing our dry ingredients. So, in a sieve, combine your rice flour, baking powder, salt, pepper powder, add the garlic powder, onion powder, and sieve it all together. This just helps dispersing the baking powder evenly through the flour, and you can get rid of any of the flour lumps that you have. This is always a good practice. Now I'm also adding in my dried mixed herbs. You can also replace this with fresh herbs if you have on hand, and give it a quick whisk and set this aside. Now for the next step, we have to cream our butter. So add butter to a mixing bowl. Now here there is a quick tip that I want to share with you all. Make sure that the butter is at room temperature and is not too soft, and cream the butter. Once the butter is creamed slightly, add in the grated cheese. I've taken mature cheddar today for my cheese. You can replace it with any of your favorite cheese. You can see that the butter is pale and light. Once the butter has creamed, add in the lemon juice. Now the acidity from the lemon juice will contrast and balance the rich buttery flavor from the cheese and the butter, and also it will give a nice bright flavor to our biscuits. Add in the chopped coriander as well. Give it a mix, and it's time to combine our dry ingredients into our butter mixture. So go 1/3 at a time. Be gentle with the dough at this point. Gently fold in with the help of a spatula or a maurice. I would recommend not using a blender or a whisk attachment at this point, because when you are vigorous with your mixture while adding the dough, while adding the flour, it starts to form gluten and then your biscuits will be tough. Right? And another pro tip is combine the flour and butter just until the dough is formed. Don't overwork the dough. It's very important for that nice crumbly light texture. Going in with my last addition of the dry ingredients. You can see I'm gently folding it through. Now I would recommend finishing any of the doughs for your cookies or your sablé biscuits with hand, just so you ensure that any unmixed bits of the flour or butter are there. Just work it on your surface lightly. Make sure that you're gentle with it. Now you know that the dough is ready when it forms into a nice ball, but it's not sticky. That's when you know that the dough is ready. But we should definitely avoid overworking. Now that our dough is formed, let's roll it now. I'm rolling them between two grease-proof papers here. It's much easier to handle, right? So lay it straight onto the paper and cover it with another one. With the rolling pin, roll it evenly. You don't want them to be too thick. They slightly do rise while baking. So the thickness that you're looking at is around 5 mm thickness. Just roll the dough, make sure it is even. Now, when you are forming the dough, if you feel that the dough is too dry, you can add a little bit of cold water or some milk to it. Just gently roll it. Now, I've rolled it evenly now. It is about 5 mm thickness. Now, we have to chill this dough for at least half an hour before baking. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind during this process is, one, you need to make sure that the dough is rolled out evenly. It ensures uniform baking. And also, you need to chill the dough before we bake, at least for half an hour, a good half an hour to 45 minutes. That is the minimum that you would need to chill the dough. This helps the gluten to relax a bit because we have been working with it. And also the butter in the dough will firm up, which will ensure a nice rise and baking during the baking process. So let's pop our dough into the refrigerator and chill it before we bake. Let's get back to it. Once your dough has chilled, it's time to bake. Carefully remove the top layer and using a cookie cutter, I'm using a fluted cookie cutter today. You can use really any shape that you would like and cut into the biscuits. So that is the thickness that you would want. I've preheated the oven at 175 degrees. Now on a baking tray lined with perforated mats, I'm going to lay these biscuits uniform distance so that they bake nice and even. Now here's why I prefer the perforated mats. Perforated mats actually ensure that the air is circulated uniformly, especially underneath the biscuits, and it gives a nice even color and the crispiness as well. And they also look nicer. I'll show you how once it bakes. Now cover this one with another perforated mat and they go into the preheated oven for baking for between 10 to 12 minutes depending on the size that you have cut. You might have to adjust the timing. Now our biscuits are ready. Let them cool down slightly because they are too warm right now. Now let's see how our biscuits have turned out. They look amazing and I can smell the cheese out here. So you can see that the cookies have a slight pattern because of the perforated mats that we have used. Even at the bottom, you can choose whatever side that you would prefer. Both the sides will have a nice pattern and they're baked uniform. There you have it, perfectly crispy cheese herb biscuits. Now just keep an eye, every oven is different, so make sure you keep an eye on these biscuits. Don't over bake them, they will become chewy because of the cheese. So you just want the right texture for these biscuits. Let them cool down slightly before you pack them away. You can package them nicely in little jars or in polythene covers for your festive gifting. I promise you these will disappear in no time. They are so good. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the recipe and you're enjoying the festive recipe series. Don't forget to tell me in the comments if you have baked this, how they have turned out for you. I would love to hear from you all. Now don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more such recipes.